program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is rock band Shiny Shiny Black. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Well, we had a chance to meet at the Josie's, albeit briefly, on the red carpet. I'm so glad that you signed up for the interview today. Off the top of the show, I'd love to just kind of give you the floor here and let you give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll catch up about all the fun stuff you're up to now.
Backstory for us is I started the band in 2012 and have been working at it. And then Amber joined in 2014, somewhere around in there. And we've been just kind of working away at making music that hopefully builds people up and gives them a place to gather. So yeah, that's the quick and short of it. And I should mention we just put out a Christmas record called What Stops Time. That's on all the streaming platforms. So if you hear this and you want some Christmas music for the rest of the holiday season, there's some.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that this episode's going to make it out before Christmas. We're pretty stacked up, but we are hosting a Christmas party on December 21st. So you will be featured on there. I'm going to have you send me some MP3s once we get done here. We'll play your songs on the show. If you guys would like to come in with us at that time, you'll be more than welcome. People listening to this in the future, they were awesome on the show. So
yeah.
It's
I love
the
how
nature.
we can talk to our future students.
Yeah, well, it's the nature of podcasting, right? I try to batch as many episodes as I can early because summer's hit and then I'm on tour, right? I'm a musician myself. I've been,
awesome.
a musician for decades before I was ever a podcaster. And I became a podcaster because I saw this need. I saw the need for this, more conversations about music with independent artists, especially. Was very fortunate to win the Content Creator of the Year award from the Midwest Country Music Organization just earlier this year. But that was really from my work in 2024, where I showed up to their award show being a brand new member and just started putting microphones in people's faces. Oh,
Yeah.
I commandeered a table at jam night the night before. My wife and I were there. We don't know anyone, right? We know like 2 members, but this is a brand new organization. I said, man, I'm going to sit down and do what I've always done. And I'm going to have conversations with people and get to know them. And instead of milling around the room, I just sat down in one spot and we kind of filed them in. So the red carpet at the Josie's was a very familiar situation for me. Albeit, 90-second or less interviews. You guys were more towards the end. I think it was maybe like a hello, sign my autograph, give me your business card. We'll chat later. Have a great night.
It's more like a cameo moment.
Yeah. Well, but I wanted to make sure that everyone got that moment, right? To at least be interviewed by someone, to have that picture on the red carpet. We're still working through, chopping up the footage and putting it out there. I might just put them out there as 18-minute long, podcast interviews where it's just like, here, just watch. So you see what my 3 hours looked like in shorter clips. But what an experience. Now, was that your guys' first time nominated?
It was my first time and our band's first time. Nate's been nominated as a producer for a few projects. So that was your second year
my
at
second year
JMAs.
attending.
So
yeah, well, and you've been doing this for a long time. To have had a band for 12 years is a long time. Now, like the same, I know, Amber, you joined in 2015, but for the last 10 years, like same lineup and playing with the same. Where are you guys from?
So we're in Northern Indiana.
Okay, I saw the area code matched some friends of mine in Indiana, so I had a pretty good inclination. But and Chicagoland area or farther east?
We're a little further east, like east of South Bend. In Elkhart County, it's kind of more medium for towns and stuff. But we have a great little music scene here in our town, and there's quite a lot of folks that really value the music and art and stuff. So that's been a big part of our story and like why we could keep doing what we're doing. So, and we're married. We've been married over 20 years, actually.
Yeah.
So music's always been a part, but no, we haven't always had the same lineup besides ourselves. So we have different backing players at different times, but the last couple of years have been more solid with the lineup. And that's who we made these records with that were nominated, the nominated work we did.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's got to feel good for everyone in the band to be recognized for that and to share that. I ask because my band Starts and Ends is pretty much like me and a rotating cast of characters behind me. Which is it's been really fun because I get to play with a lot of talented musicians. A lot of these people are friends and just part of my network regardless, but I'm always very jealous of people that get to play with the same people and grow as a band. Right. I think there's something to that. I think your sound changes and then you get to have fun and make a Christmas album. Right. The Christmas album, it covers, or is it original Christmas music that you guys wrote?
A little of both. We Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is the album opener, but Amber wrote some really great tunes that are a little bit more along the lines of, Christmas isn't great for everybody all the time. And so there's a few songs for folks who find themselves maybe dealing with some winter blues or mixed feelings about the holiday. So it's kind of a little of both.
It's such a great point, right? That, especially for ones that have recently lost the loved ones, when we lose, especially, I feel like matriarchs of the family, right? When you lose a mother or a grandmother that was kind of the anchor of the family. And then you don't have that anymore, that the holidays become very hard for a lot of people. Or if a birthday or an anniversary, like anything, right? So, but we often forget that, right? And sometimes it's hard because the whole world is, jolly and you're not.
You're like,
makes it even harder, right?
I feel out right now,
Yeah. So I think that's awesome. And to really dig into that. And that's what we especially as independent artists, we're not necessarily making music to like sell 1 million records, right? Like that's not our purpose. The purpose is to tell a story, and whether it's a personal story to you or just something that you've observed, it's our job, right, to bring that to the forefront and to put it out there as art to be enjoyed or to tell someone else's story. And I think the longer that I'm in the music business, I guess we'll say, the industry now, hanging out at award shows and meeting more and more artists, it becomes more apparent to me that like, oh no, this is what we do is important. That story, because not everyone has that ability, but they need it just as much.
Right. I personally find that like there's a huge need. I mean, can you imagine going to a sporting event without music, or a wedding without music, or a funeral without music? I mean, those are these huge touchstone things that people experience throughout their lives. And it's obvious when you kind of go through those different scenes that music is a really important part of sort of gathering people together. It's also a really important part of personal expression, a place maybe to put your feelings about the thing that you're at, and telling stories of what happened in your town or what happened in the town 2 towns over, or to this person, all of those things really matter and create connection points for humans, so I do view the work as very important, for sure.
I think it's easy to forget as musicians because we're just like, and we're such a different experience than someone who's just a music lover that doesn't have skin in the game per se, that you forget how important it is to people. And yeah, I was watching Jelly Roll was just on Joe Rogan again, and what a transformation that man has been through these last few years. But live on the air, they shared with him, Craig Morgan got on and invited him into the Opry as a full member. Right.
Oh, wow.
To watch Jelly Roll break down. The clips are all over the internet. I highly suggest that you check it out.
Check it out.
You like immediately ask Joe Rogan for a hug, right? It's just like, I need to hug somebody. We're like such a pivotal moment in his life. and career. And he was a big inspiration for me to kind of restart my music career. A little backstory on me: in 2016, I was sentenced to a few years in prison for selling marijuana. So I thought it was over. I thought my music career and everything was done. You know, I had young children at the time, and obviously getting out, it was like selling drugs and playing music wasn't going to work anymore. And I guess like intrinsically like combine those two, like those two are always together, those two worlds. And seeing Jelly Roll and hearing his kind of reclamation story and his redemption story was like, oh, that's someone's story too. It's not, and yes, mine is in music or media or whatever you want to call it, but like that story of going through some hard shit and then coming out on the other side of it a better person and then building a better life, that's not singular to me or to Jelly or to anyone. And we are the storytellers. And that's you hit on some great points there as you were going through. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I won't even try.
That's awesome.
So what's next? I mean, obviously you got the Christmas album, but you guys are now nominees. Now, did you win any awards at there? There was such a blur.
Right.
So Abby Thomas, who I had worked with producing her last couple projects, did win.
She won a couple of awards.
Yeah,
didn't
she won Female Vocalist of the Year.
Yeah,
multi-genre album of the year.
Right,
a couple of big ones, man.
Yeah,
and obviously you're a big part of that.
Yeah, so I played drums for her for a couple of years, and also produced. She actually met me by coming to my recording studio in a moment of desperation where the previous producer that she had been working with had lost all of her files or some version of that. And she needed me to kind of rescue the project with no budget. And so, that was kind of how we connected, and then ended up working with her, and that was great. And she actually kind of inspired me to re-engage the awards side of this business. I've actually been doing music since I was 13, and I'm going to turn 50 this year. So
you don't look a day over 39, bud. So.
Thank you. So I had become pretty cynical about pursuing any kind of awards, and Abby really encouraged me to give it another go and to put my hat in the ring, so to speak, a little bit and just see what happened. And it's been a really kind of transformative thing for us. I think in the last couple of years, it's certainly gotten a lot easier to book shows. When you have some new fresh awards in the bottom of your email, it seems to carry a little more weight. And so that was great. So we didn't win, but even the fact that out of however the insane amount of entries that they had this year,
86,000 or something, I think they said, crazy.
Right. The fact that we were even finalists in the categories we were in, to me meant a big deal. And it was a big deal to be even in the room, you know. And makes it inspiring to try again, you know? So
no. And honestly, I'd never even been nominated for an award. I would consider myself a bit of a cynic. That's not why I do it, but having seen and having won the content creator, the award with the Midwest Country Music Organization, that to watch the doors open for me. Cause now I don't have to sit there and like explain what I do. And especially with a podcast, we're out here in the Midwest, most people still don't really know, like it's building, but it's a slow build to like still having to explain what a podcast is and kind of, easy now. I'm just like, what TV and radio used to be? Yeah. Well, it's right.
Kind of that now.
Yeah. But just seeing what it's done for me. Hi, I'm Bubba Startz. I'm the content creator of the year, or I have an award-winning podcast. Like everybody's listening all of a sudden. Right. And it's just such a simple thing. So yeah, not really been a part of any of that previously in my career, to see what doors it's opened for me and a lot of my friends, fellow Midwest CMO members, and to see what they've done with their awards, or even just the nomination, right? The Josie nominations are so massive that, it matters, being nominated for a Grammy. We had, I don't know if you're familiar with Cheryl B. Englehart. She has a company called In the Key of Success, two-time Grammy nominee now. She found me and I saw her name pop on my calendar. It's the first time that I like fanboyed. Well, man, like my third interview was with Bill Payne, who's the founder of Little Feat, right? Or one of the
wow. You're like high
oh my God, it was my fourth interview on the show outside of like my close friend group. And we had a 45-minute conversation just talking music, and a guy that has worked with all your heroes, right? As a session musician, working, doing records with Barbara Streisand. He was like, yeah, I didn't even know I was on that record until I got the check, right? Like, a royalty came in and I was like, oh, cool, But talk about people that just did it for the music, and they just recently got nominated for their first Grammy this year, which is crazy. This band has been around since the early 70s and just now getting recognized, and a much different sound now that, that's not Dixie Chicken anymore. They're really like a hardcore blues band now.
Yeah.
And, was able to get my mom tickets to go see them at Red Rocks with the Avett brothers. And,
come on.
That's just awesome. From this silly podcast, right, that I decided to start because, I saw a need. I saw a need because I, as myself, went out. I was on the local news and radio, and it just wasn't enough. I barely had any time to tell my story and to get that out there. So it just became obvious that, like, okay, we're going to do this. And then I've probably taken it a few degrees left of center with a lot of things, just bringing, the songwriter showcases and filming everything, bringing everything that MTV and VH1 used to be when I was growing up, and Rolling Stone, and kind of like, okay, well, now none of you guys are even doing that anymore. And you're only supporting this like tiny little sliver of artists at the top, when there's more independent artists now than ever. And 100%. All of them need what we're doing. So yeah, what a pleasure to get to do the Josies, and what an experience. I mean, tell me about it. So we've had a couple of nominees on and have interviewed a couple of winners, but what's the anticipation like as they're reading your name off up there and the butterflies in your stomach? And I know you didn't win this year, obviously excited when your friend Abby wins. I'm good friends with Jasmine Kane, who won a couple of awards and performed that night. So I kind of know that experience, but tell us about, is there a little bit of, is there any disappointment not winning when, you're kind of cynical about it anyway?
No, I think like, I'm just grateful to be in the room at this point. The fact that like, we've been able to make a life where we get to do music and talk to people at 10 o'clock in the morning about music is great. And I think because I have been cynical about it, I don't have a lot of expectations around it at this point. It's just more like fun to be a participant. That's my experience. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I would say I am definitely still vulnerable to disappointment, because, you hope for the best, but not in a sense of like, oh, I'm going to be stuck here forever in this feeling, but yeah, there's some disappointment when you feel like you've done good work and it would help all the things like you're saying, it just helps. I think going in, I was sharing with a friend, like, the biggest thing is just to keep a bigger view in your mind. Like, you've done the work, you're here, you don't have control over whether it's recognized or in what way, and that's okay, and like being good with that. So I think it is good to keep taking those swings, because like Nate said, it's like, okay, for a bunch of years in the middle, we just didn't even submit to anything, because it's like, what's the point or whatever. So you might be surprised, and the different things. We did win an award this year. We've gotten a few nominations in different organizations. We won an Indiana award called the Naptones. And so that has been great to start typing in the booking emails, award-winning artists, even though, it's one of the more regional local ones or whatever. And that's fine. That's a good starting point. And
it doesn't matter. I mean, because for us, like with the Midwest CMO, the members vote on them. Well, I had like, we're only 300 members strong, and I had most of the artists that are in it on my show. So I kind of juiced the voting box, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not knowing.
You're like,
So they didn't even have the content creator award the year prior. It was a new award, but as soon as I saw it on the nomination list, I was like, oh, I have a good chance of winning that. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of people in our small org that are necessarily doing what I'm doing. And, but I've seen a lot of other people since then getting into it. And I'm always encouraging everyone, like, look, if you're a band, you should have a podcast. You guys got something to talk about. You can spend 15, 20 minutes putting out this weekly content. It's important. And then you should be trying to get on as many podcasts as you can, because the way that AI works now and AI SEO, right, is that the more content you have out there, the better it's going to track. So when people go to search your name, it's not necessarily about your website or those things. It's about the micro content you have. So the more times your name is showing up and doing those things is great. And then it's going to build a profile off of you. So when people go into search and go, who is Bubba Startz? There is a soliloquy in there now that's like, oh man, and I every once in a while I go and type it into Chat GPT and see if it's changed at all and what the artificial intelligence thinks of who I am. And it doesn't go and dig up my criminal record, right? Like it's not going back and digging up all of the dirt. It's doing nothing but delivering on the awards and the nominations and the places you've been and the people you've been connected to. So that's why it's so important to do. And congratulations to you on your, what was the name of the award again?
It's called the Naptones. It's based in Indianapolis. So they have that Naptones Music Awards. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to put in for credentials for that one next year and kind of come out and see you guys. Is it, obviously it's gratifying to win, but is it motivating to have been nominated, but then to not win? I mean, not that you're like, we always do our best, right? But does it send you back to the drawing board that we're always going back to as artists? Does it send you back there with like, well, maybe we could do that. Maybe the production could be a little better. Maybe the songwriting, could be a little bit different, or is it not really in your mind at all?
For me, it's kind of all wrapped up in like, how does a song connect with our audience primarily? Like, and are people loving this or not? And the awards are kind of the upper layer. Like, it's always like, oh, what can we try next or whatever, but it's, I think, first of all, the more we know, is a song doing its job? And if we can get better and better at that, that's like the most exciting part, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with
that. But it
does
feel like if you are doing your job, then that attention or the award should follow. It's kind of like a validation thing. But at the same time, as we know, lots of people are doing really good work, and maybe they get recognition, maybe they don't, or maybe they get it 30 years later, like you were saying with the Grammys. I mean, the Grammys are like the holy grail, right? But it's a complicated process for the Grammys and all that.
So I know you have the recording studio. You've been nominated. Now you're kind of included in Abby's win, and you've won awards with her. Is it a different feeling being a part of that project and having your own name and your own band up on the screen behind the stage, especially at the Opry?
Yeah. Speaking for myself, absolutely. I think partly because being a record producer has been a really important part of my life for the last almost 30 years, but especially during the pandemic, I got really clear because I had a lot of time to think that I really want to be an artist. I don't want to, getting into audio engineering and mixing was something that I did as a means to an end. It was a stopgap side hustle, kind of an attempt. And I really, so because of that, I don't have as much meaning attached to being the producer for Abby's project as I do now for my own work. And so, yeah, it definitely feels different to be not just a part of the team, but kind of the the reason the team exists in that sense. And, you know, and so, and to be able to bring my guys, my band into that room for that reason felt really special, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It's different for, like you said, a means to an end is perfect, because I think there's a lot of people who are artists that get into the production side to like be the real job, right? Like to have an income, because, you know, you're never going to make a living playing music, and what a load of hogwash that is anyway. Mm-hmm. Is it hard 100%. As hell? Yeah, it's tough, right? But you can do it. And we try to dispel a lot of those myths on this show and with our organization, the Midwest Original Music Organization, which is really just about educating people. We get together on YouTube and invite everyone to kind of throw comments. And we have some industry experts, I call them, come on with us. I'd love to have you as a part of that show, Nate, and to have you come in and share some of the production tips with us, maybe, and a little bit of that background. I think that'd be really awesome. So make sure I get you a calendar link for that sometime.
He may have entered it as a side hustle, but he's actually really terrific at
an award-winning producer. So I think you're kind of, you know, your work speaks for itself in that realm, but it's different. It's different from like Rick Rubin was a producer, and that was all. Exactly. He wasn't an artist. He was never trying to be an artist. That was never his role. And he was always off in the back, you know, kind of letting them be artists. I think it's different when you're playing that, you know, kind of dual role where, you know, and I'm sure with Abby that you have this as you're watching her, and yes, you're a part of it, but there's the artist side of you inside of that that's like going, well, man, that could be me too, right? And now having the nominations is like, oh, we are this close from winning that award and being recognized as the person, you know, behind the microphone instead of behind the board. So yeah, interesting position.
I feel like let's be really frank about this. The reason why we're in the room is the song and the way the song was delivered. And I think, you know, no matter how good of a job you do as a producer, you are not that. You know, you're not the person who wrote the song, and you're not the person who delivered it. So there's always an aspect to which you're one step removed in that role, in my opinion. And so to be, I guess, kind of in that space for us was really meaningful.
How incredible. And I'm sure you produce all of your own records. You still have the recording studio then?
Yeah, it's like about 10 feet that way.
Awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, making records for you guys is maybe a little bit easier than some other people that don't have the capacity to do it. Like I have all the equipment, right? I got my 7B. I have all the pieces, but I'm like totally inept behind a board. Right. So I work with some good friends of mine. You know, he went to school for it, but his studio's 5 hours away. And it's nice to be able to, you know, I can send him tracks and he plays guitar and bass. He could build the whole song, right? He can play all the instruments. He can play all of them better than most people. He plays drums in a rock band, but he's one of the most talented guitarists I know. He plays with a band called Kenny Fiddler and the Cowboy Killers, who are touring all over, millions of streams on Spotify right now, and, you know, touring with the Josh Beloys and a lot of, you know, major acts as their opening acts. And to have him as a part of that is great, but it's also like, I don't want to just like send you a demo and you build the whole song and then I throw you a vocal track. Like I want to be in the studio. And I was very grateful to have that opportunity last December to jump in with him and a bass player, and he played drums and just hit record and to make music. And to see, I mean, it took us a whole year to kind of with dubs and everything to finally get it, but I finally released my first EP in over a decade this year. We did a couple of singles, but yeah, I would love to send it to you and to see what you think of some of the songs. And maybe in the future, we can work on an album together. I can come out to Indiana. I got lots of friends in the Chicagoland area, lots of family yet that I wouldn't mind spending a little bit of time with. And come out for a few days and jump in the studio and just create. Like I'm getting back into that phase of my life. I feel like, you know, is that I have a lot of the recordings that I've done over the last few years have been like old songs, right? Like some of the songs on this new EP I wrote in 2010, Like I'm a completely different person now than I was then. And I haven't necessarily been writing a bunch just because I haven't had that spark, but I feel like that's coming back. Obviously having a, now a business and as the podcast is growing in fame, it's actually starting to make a little bit of money now. So I can call it a living, that it affords me to be able to create a little bit more and to do some fun stuff too.
That's awesome. Well,
you should say about James.
James. So one of the things that excited me about your podcast is the premise of community and how music can affect community. And we just wrapped up a project here last night, actually about 10:30. That was a gentleman from our community who retired, moved to this area after he retired, and has always had a dream of making a project. And I think ultimately he wanted to record his songs, but he also wanted to meet people. He's never been in a band. He's never been a musician professionally or even, doing a cover band kind of thing for fun. And so for him, kind of always on the outside looking in, getting the opportunity to come to the studio and not just record his songs, but get to meet some of the other sort of regional heroes playing on his record. I think that was very rewarding and even emotional experience for him. And it was really fun to be able to facilitate that connection point. And I think you're right. The thing that you said about wanting to get in the studio with people, I don't think music is something that is really meant to be done in isolation. I know that for economic reasons, a lot of us end up doing like sort of the singer-songwriter thing or the solo performer or duo because you can't always afford to fund a whole band and go out on the road. But I do think ultimately the experience of getting in a room, either with your friends to just jam or getting into a room with a bunch of people to share your songs, it's an innately social art form. I think it's really unique in that way. And back to this gentleman that was here, is really rewarding to see him get to interact with these musicians that he's only paid tickets to see before, and hasn't even met any of them personally, but he knows who they are, and sort of facilitate that happening was really fun. It was really rewarding.
It's that exchange of energy, right, in the room. And I was very fortunate. So Love Noise is the name of our show on Wednesday nights. I kind of combined our Momo meetup and Love Noise, where I have an artist on and we share some of their music as well, which you're going to double as both when we bring you in, and we're going to listen to some Shiny, Shiny Black. And we're going to have you on as our music expert as well. But shout out to Jeff Suma and the Roasters, jam band from Connecticut. And every song he sent me was like 9 minutes long, right? All recorded versions.
Classic.
And you can't make that like dubbing tracks, right? Like, did they add the leads in later and stuff? But the grooves and the, kind of funky and jammy. I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. He is as well. So, he was out on tour with the Dead long time ago. And it was just really, I'm so jealous of that because, and unfortunately for me, like I live in the middle of nowhere, right? Like I'm in a town of 1,000 people in the middle of the cornfields in eastern South Dakota. There's just not a lot of players, period. And then to find people that are into the same kind of music that you are, or want to play your songs, I kind of have this whole catalog of original music that it's always like, well, here's my songs. And then I feel like, okay, well, we're building this and I'm the front of the band. Like we have to learn the songs that I've already written before I'm ready to like write new material that we're all going to write together, So, and it could take years for people to learn all that, and finding people that are as dedicated as we all are to our craft and to music. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword out here, because on the one hand, we make pretty decent money to go play live. My band makes, 1,000 or more to go out and perform, which for people in larger cities are like, what? Like, yeah, well, you get paid to do that. Right. You didn't have to pay to go in and perform. But then also you have a lot of guys that are, I don't want to say mediocre, but they're weekend warriors, or they're not practicing at home and working on the craft all the time and really taking it seriously, because you can show up because there's a lack of competition. You can show up, right? Make a couple $100 a night. You're going to get free drinks and have a great time. So there's not the dedication that a lot of us put into this, like music is my life. And especially, having left my welding job almost 2 years ago now, which seems totally crazy, that like my dedication to it, and someone who is, working 50 hours a week, might have a family and a wife and all of those things, they only have a few hours to dedicate to it. And then they're not, is like, we're not in the same game,
right.
like
100%.
It's true.
It's very 100%. Different. So yeah, always appreciate you guys for just coming in and talking with me today. I want to give you a chance to plug everything. Make sure you mention the studio, websites, all that stuff, and any final thoughts before I let you go as well.
Well, before we plug anything, I just wanted to offer you and your community a little bit of encouragement. One of the things that was really transformational around here, and why our town, which is in the scheme of things not a very big town, it's 36,000, 38,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is a small town, to have a pretty significant major or music scene. But the irony to me of that is that it all started with a coffee shop in 1996 that was doing pay what you want folk concerts. And at the time, for me, I was just out of high school, and I couldn't afford to go to big ticketed concerts all the time. They weren't even around all the time. And I wasn't old enough to go to a bar, right? So what do you do? And to be able to like have the opportunity to meet actual musicians who were working, and rub shoulders with them, and it was a low cost. I didn't have a lot of money, and so being able to come in and throw a couple bucks in the hat, created an opportunity for me to meet people and see people, and that began a whole transformation of our downtown, that led to really a reinvigoration of our whole, like, the foot traffic in our community. There's actual stores downtown. Everything was boarded up 30 years ago. Music did that, actually. And out of that, then some pretty significant people, I could rattle off a list, I'll spare you, but came out of that for the same reasons. They were kids in high school who could go suck at music in public and get that feedback. And some of them kept at it and were like, hey, you're pretty good. Like, and so that motivated them to keep going. And some of those people now are the people playing on the records that I'm producing. They're Abby Thomas's band. They're our band, and none of that would have existed without something really simple: putting people together in a room with hot drinks and some occasionally good music, and at a very low cost. And I think that's something that can happen in almost any community. It doesn't. Nobody has to be good at the start. That's part of the point, right? Is that you can have an open mic and just let people come in and play, just as I am on the harpsichord, and it's fine. That's auto harp. Harpsichord.
That would be.
That'd be a thing to drag into a coffee shop. But auto harp, because I've seen that. I've seen people do that, or come in with their one string, canjo or whatever it is.
You guys have a pretty interesting music community in your little town.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out, because I think sometimes, like, downtowns will try to start a downtown association and get their first Fridays program going. And it's like, but if you don't have those relationships built already in your community, that doesn't really work very well. But if you can just get some people in the room and start hanging out with them, that's the thing that actually changes everything. So anyways, Nimblewhip Productions is our recording studio. Yeah. Shiny Black is our band. And
the main website's shinyshinyblack.com. Not hard. And we have, you know, a studio page on there that talks more about what we do on there and how you can get in touch with us. And yeah, we love meeting new people. And
yeah, and thanks for your show, man.
Yeah,
and
this is great. Thanks
really
for inviting us on.
Yeah, well, I'm planning a national tour for March right now, and getting out mostly into the South, back to Nashville, and then, you know, all the way around, trying to hit South by Southwest and be in the zone, meeting more artists. That's really what my focus is for 2026. Testing out more markets. I've seen what we do work. Our songwriter showcases, we come in with broadcast, you know, level quality cameras, and we do this with the music. And Love Noise is a little bit of that. I'm trying to recreate what we've done digitally in live settings and to bring as much community and connecting the scenes, right? That's kind of why it's the scene projects. Is it's not just about one scene, it's about your scene and my scene and everyone's scene being connected, because that's what's going to help us grow and to send everybody out on tour, knowing that you have that that coffee shop to land in every town, right? And to be that connection. So I've had people begging me to come through, you know, all the way out to Pennsylvania and Connecticut, and Indiana would be right smack in the way of that. So maybe I'll be planning a summer tour to get out that way and come check you guys out and everything you got going on.
Be sure to hit us up as you're planning that, because we are big believers in trying to create those connections and create opportunities for other people to come bring what they've got to our community, and obviously for us to go out. So we'd love to help make that happen.
Awesome. Well, it is written then, and it shall be done. And guys, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for being part of the scene.
Absolutely.